Have you ever seen someone whose discipline is so intense it's almost frightening? I'm not talking about someone loud or aggressive. I'm talking about someone who is simply unbreakable. They're the person who never misses a day. It doesn't matter if it's raining, if they're sick, or if they're completely exhausted, they just show up. While everyone else is busy making excuses, this person is already moving. There's no hesitation, no drama, just pure execution. You hear people whispering about them saying, "That's not normal." And you know what? They're right. It's not normal. What most people don't get is that this level of discipline isn't about motivation. Motivation is flimsy. It comes and goes. This is something different. It's engineered. It's forged through a system developed by Zen monks centuries ago. A system so powerful it can literally rewire your mind, turning it into a machine of absolute consistency. They called it Guji, which translates to the practice that perpetuates itself. Think about that. A practice that fuels itself. Once you truly understand this principle, you'll never have to rely on fleeting motivation ever again. You won't need it. But there's a catch, and it's a big one. This system demands that you let go of a part of yourself. The lazy, impulsive, emotional part that's been secretly running your life and holding you back. It's the part of you that chooses comfort over progress. So, before we dive deep into this ancient method, I want you to do two things. First, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. And second, comment below. What is the one habit you are determined to master this year? Go ahead, write it down. Let's make it real. All right, let's begin. Our journey starts with a story. Chapter 1. The Awakening. The Man Who Couldn't Stay Consistent. There once was a programmer named Raphael. On the surface, he had it all. He was smart, successful in his career, and well-liked. But beneath that successful exterior, there was a weakness he couldn't shake. His discipline was practically non-existent. He was the king of starting things and never finishing them. Does that sound familiar to anyone? He'd get a sudden burst of inspiration and decide to transform his life. He'd join a gym, full of energy and determination. For 2 months, he'd be the perfect member, hitting every workout. And then, poof, he was gone. His gym bag would gather dust in the corner of his room. He tried meditation next, convinced it would bring him peace and focus. He downloaded all the apps, bought a special cushion, and for 1 week, he was a model of mindfulness. Then, just like the gym membership, the practice was abandoned. His mind would wander, he'd feel restless, and soon he was back to his old habits. Books were his biggest vice. He loved the idea of being a well-read person. He would spend a small fortune on books about philosophy, history, and self-improvement. He'd bring them home, crack open the first few pages with excitement, maybe even highlight a passage or two. But inevitably, they would end up on a shelf, bookmarks stuck in the first chapter, joining a growing collection of abandoned knowledge. Each of these unfinished projects was a silent monument to his inconsistency. Raphael felt trapped in a cycle of failure. He would get inspired, start strong, hit a wall, make an excuse, and then quit. The guilt that followed was heavy. He'd look at his unused gym membership, his meditation app notifications, his shelf of unread books, and feel a deep sense of shame. He knew he was capable of more, but it felt like there was an invisible force holding him back. He wasn't lazy in the traditional sense. He worked hard at his job. But when it came to personal growth, he was his own worst enemy. He believed the problem was motivation. He thought if he could just find the right motivational speech, the right podcast, or the right book, everything would click into place. He spent hours watching videos of gurus and athletes, hoping their fire would ignite something within him. It would work, but only for a little while. The motivational high would wear off, and he'd be right back where he started, feeling even more defeated than before. He was searching for a spark, when what he really needed was a system to build a sustainable fire. He was about to discover that the secret wasn't about adding more motivation, but about changing the very engine that drove his actions. His journey into the world of Guji was about to begin, and it would start not with a burst of inspiration, but with a quiet, profound realization. Does this sound familiar? Every Monday you swear, this week will be different. You're filled with resolve, you have a plan, you're ready to go. But then, by Wednesday, the excuses start creeping in. You're a little tired, you had a long day, maybe you'll start fresh tomorrow. By Friday, you've basically surrendered. You tell yourself, the week is already shot, I'll just enjoy the weekend and start over on Monday. And by Sunday night, you're drowning in guilt, making those same promises to yourself all over again. It's a brutal cycle, isn't it? Maybe you've tried all the tricks in the book. You've downloaded every productivity app. You've set up complex tracking systems. You've even roped in friends as accountability partners. But nothing seems to stick. The motivation fizzles out, the discipline crumbles, and you're right back where you started. And you end up blaming yourself, thinking you're just lazy or you don't have enough willpower. But what if I told you that you're not fighting laziness? What if you're actually fighting the very architecture of your brain? You're fighting ancient primal wiring that is designed to seek comfort, to conserve energy, and to avoid difficulty. It's a battle you're almost destined to lose unless you change the rules of the game. Now think about this. For over 800 years, generation after generation, Zen monks have woken up before dawn to meditate. Every single day. No exceptions. How is that possible? Is it because they have superhuman willpower? Were they just born with a special kind of motivation that the rest of us lack? The answer is no. Their secret is something much deeper, much more fundamental, and honestly, a little bit frightening in its power. They've tapped into a psychological trigger that completely bypasses the need for daily motivation. Let's travel to the Eiheiji Temple in Japan. Since the year 1200, a bell has rung at 3:30 in the morning, every single day. And every single day, without fail, the monks get up. There's no snooze button. There's no internal debate. No one lying in bed thinking, just 5 more minutes, or should I maybe skip today? That question doesn't even exist in their minds. Why? Because of a core principle in Zen practice, Guji. It means continuous, uninterrupted practice. It's a law, not a suggestion. And this reveals a profound secret about how our brains work. You see, your brain is constantly categorizing your decisions. It puts every single choice you make into one of 2 mental boxes, the reversible box or the irreversible box. The reversible box is where most of our goals live. I'm going to try to eat healthier. I'll try to go to the gym 3 times a week. I want to start writing that book. The key word here is try. When a decision is in the reversible box, your brain knows there's an escape hatch. It knows you can quit at any time. And because it knows this, it never stops negotiating. Every morning it asks, are we really doing this today? You're kinda tired. It's raining outside. Wouldn't it be more comfortable to just stay in bed? Your brain is a master negotiator, and its goal is to keep you comfortable. As long as a decision is reversible, the negotiation will never, ever end. This is why willpower fails. It's like having a salesperson in your head 24/7, constantly trying to sell you on the idea of taking it easy. It's exhausting. But then, there's the irreversible box. This is for decisions that are final. The path is set, the bridges are burned, there is no turning back. Think about it. When a pilot is in the middle of a transatlantic flight, does he wake up and think, should I fly to London today? No! The decision was made the moment the plane took off. The destination is locked in. His brain isn't negotiating, it's executing. It's focused on one thing, how to land the plane safely. The what is decided. It's only focused on the how. This is the secret of the monks. When a new monk takes his vows, it's a public, solemn ceremony. He stands before the entire temple and commits his life to the practice. In that moment, he isn't just trying to be a monk, he becomes a monk. His identity fundamentally changes. The decision to wake up and meditate every day moves from the reversible box to the irreversible box. It's no longer a daily choice. It's a settled fact of his existence, as certain as the sun rising. The negotiation in his brain simply dies. It's over. His mental energy is no longer wasted on the should I debate. It's entirely redirected towards the how can I? How can I meditate better? How can I be more present? How can I deepen my practice? So, how can you apply this terrifyingly effective principle to your own life without having to join a monastery? You need to create your own irreversible moments. You have to take your most important goals and, through a conscious act, move them from that negotiation-filled reversible box into the final settled irreversible box. Let's say your goal is to get fit. Instead of saying, "I'll try to go to the gym," what's an irreversible commitment? You could sign up for a specific race, like a marathon or a 10K that's 6 months away. You pay the non-refundable entry fee. You tell everyone you know that you're doing it. You post it on social media. Now, the decision isn't just a vague wish anymore. It's a real event on a real date. You're no longer just trying to get fit. You are now a person training for a marathon. Your identity has shifted. The internal debate of, should I run today, is replaced by, how many miles do I need to run today to stick to my training plan? What if you want to write a book? Stop saying, I'm going to start writing. Instead, commit to a writer's workshop that requires you to submit 10 pages every Friday. Pay for it in advance. Or start a Substack or a blog and publicly promise your first 10 subscribers that you will deliver a new chapter every single week for the next year. You've now created a system of public accountability and consequence. The negotiation of, should I write today, gets silenced by the deadline of, I have to submit my pages by Friday or I'll let people down. This isn't about finding more motivation. It's about designing a system where motivation becomes irrelevant. It's about making a decision so final, so committed, that your brain stops fighting you and starts working for you. It switches from being your saboteur to being your co-pilot. You're taking away its ability to negotiate for comfort by making the commitment non-negotiable. This is the point where most people get scared. Making an irreversible commitment is intimidating. It means there's no easy way out. It means you might actually have to do the hard thing. It means you are betting on yourself. But the alternative is staying stuck in that endless, draining cycle of Monday promises and Friday regrets. The pain of that constant negotiation is often far greater than the pain of the actual work itself. So, I want you to ask yourself, what is the one goal, the one change that would truly transform your life? Now, how can you move it from the reversible box to the irreversible box? What public vow can you take? What bridge can you burn? What non-refundable investment can you make in yourself? Don't spend another week, another year, fighting your own brain. Change the rules of the game. Make the decision once, make it final, and then watch as your brain stops negotiating and starts executing. That's the real secret to unlocking lasting change. Thanks so much for watching. If this idea resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges the way you think. Let me know in the comments what irreversible commitment you're going to make. See you in the next video. You know, modern science actually backs this up. A Harvard neuroscientist who studies how we form habits discovered something fascinating. When you make a public commitment, your primitive brain, the part that's been running the show for millions of years, starts treating failure like a direct threat to your survival. Think about it. For our ancestors, losing the respect of their tribe wasn't just embarrassing. It could be a death sentence. If you were cast out, you wouldn't survive for long. So, your brain is hardwired to fight tooth and nail to keep your word when others are watching. Raphael, this guy trying to build a new habit, finally understood this. He stopped making these quiet, private promises to himself that were so easy to break. Instead, he made a public declaration. He took out a piece of paper and wrote, I am a man who meditates for 20 minutes every single morning at 5 a.m. for the next 90 days. He signed it, like a contract. Then he posted it where everyone could see. He told his friends, his family, everyone. Of course, his girlfriend just laughed. His friends rolled their eyes, probably thinking, yeah, right, we'll see how long this lasts. But for Raphael, this was perfect. This was exactly what he needed. Now, the whole world was watching. Every single morning when his alarm went off, and every fiber of his being screamed to stay in bed, the thought of facing all those people and admitting he failed burned even worse than the exhaustion. For the very first time in his life, quitting felt more painful than continuing. But this was just the beginning of his journey. This public pressure was a powerful tool, but it wasn't the final answer. Raphael was still fighting a much bigger, more ancient battle, the war against his own biology. See, your body doesn't really care about your ambitious goals or your New Year's resolutions. It cares about one thing: comfort. It wants to conserve energy and stay in its cozy, predictable state. So every morning, his own mind would become his worst enemy. It would whisper these tempting little lies. You're so tired. This can't be healthy waking up so early. Just one day off, it won't kill you. You can start again tomorrow. It's a negotiation we all have with ourselves. But this time, Raphael had a new rule. There was no negotiation left. The decision had already been made months ago when he signed that public declaration. The debate was over. Still, something wasn't quite clicking. He realized he was wasting an incredible amount of mental energy just deciding when to do the work. Should I do it in the morning or at night? Before breakfast or after? Every single one of these choices, no matter how small, burns mental glucose. It depletes your willpower. He wasn't failing because he was weak. He was failing because he was indecisive. So he decided to adopt a second rule he learned from the discipline of ancient monks: non-negotiable hours. He set a rigid, unbreakable appointment with himself. Every day at 5 a.m., no matter what. Not because it was the most convenient time. In fact, it was the opposite. He chose it because at 5 a.m., the world was asleep. There were no text messages buzzing, no emails flooding his inbox, no one calling him. There were no distractions, and therefore, no excuses. The first week was absolute brutality. His body fought him every step of the way, but by the second week, something shifted. His body began to adapt. It started to anticipate the new routine. And by the third week, something truly incredible happened. He started waking up naturally, just a couple of minutes before his alarm clock was set to go off. The habit was finally starting to take root in his biology. The internal war was starting to quiet down. But his tricky mind, always looking for a loophole, found a new one. He had locked down the when, but he was still changing the what. One day he'd try to meditate. The next day he'd decide to read instead. Then maybe he'd do push-ups. He had killed the problem of when to do the work, but the what was still a moving target, draining his focus and preventing him from building real momentum in any one area. And that's when he stumbled upon the most radical and perhaps most powerful principle of all from this ancient practice. You think variety is the spice of life, right? That it keeps things exciting? Well, what if I told you that in the pursuit of discipline, variety is the poison? It's the very thing that kills your progress. Every time you change what you do, even a little, your brain has to stop and ask, okay, what's on the agenda today? And that tiny moment of hesitation, that question mark, is the crack where negotiation sneaks back in. It's where your old, lazy self says, hey, maybe we could just... Not today. This is a lesson Raphael learned the hard way. He decided to lock everything down, to eliminate choice entirely. His routine was simple but non-negotiable: 20 push-ups, 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of reading. Always in that exact same order. Always at the same time. Every single day. There were no alternatives. No, maybe I'll run instead, or I'll read a bit more tomorrow. The decision was made once, and that was it. His friends started to notice. They'd call him robotic. His girlfriend even said he was becoming obsessed. But here's the thing they didn't get. That was the whole point. He was intentionally trying to become robotic about his habits. He was building an automated system for success. The first few weeks were brutal. By week 4, his mind was practically screaming for variety. It begged for a change, for something new, for a break from the monotony. He felt like a prisoner to his own schedule. But he held on. And then, something amazing happened. Around week 6, the screaming stopped. The internal battle went silent. His body just started to move on its own. He'd find himself on the floor doing push-ups without even consciously deciding to. The alarm would go off and he'd be meditating before he was fully awake. There was no thought, no emotion, just pure, effortless flow. He had become the machine. This isn't just some motivational story. It's backed by science. A famous study from MIT found that after a certain number of repetitions, which they calculated to be around 66 days on average, a habit shifts into a different part of your brain. It moves from the decision-making prefrontal cortex to the basal ganglia, the part that handles automatic behaviors like breathing or riding a bike. You literally stop deciding. You just do. That's the neurological secret to making discipline feel easy. You don't have to fight a battle every morning if the war has already been won. The goal isn't to have more willpower, it's to need less of it. But just when Raphael thought he had it all figured out, when he was in this perfect state of automated discipline, life happened. It always does, right? On day 35, he got sick. A nasty flu that left him weak and exhausted. A few days later, on day 40, he had to take an unexpected business trip. This meant airport delays, hotel rooms, a packed schedule, no gym, no quiet space, no time, no sleep. This is the critical moment. This is the exact point where 99% of people fail. Their perfect plan gets disrupted, and their first thought is, well, I can't do it perfectly, so I might as well skip today. I'll get back on track tomorrow. That single thought is the most dangerous lie your brain will ever tell you. It's the lie that kills all progress. Because tomorrow often turns into the next day, and then the next week, and before you know it, your habit is dead. The Zen monks, who are masters of discipline, have a simple but profound rule for this. Never let a single day go dark. What this means is that the chain of consistency must never be broken. Not for any reason. The key isn't perfection, it's continuity. Even a shortened, imperfect session is infinitely better than a complete stop. Doing one push-up is better than doing 0. Meditating for 1 minute is better than not meditating at all. The goal is to keep the chain unbroken. So, what did Raphael do? He adapted. He practiced without gaps. He did his push-ups in a cramped airport bathroom stall. People probably thought he was crazy, but he didn't care. He meditated in the back of an Uber with the city noise all around him. He read his 10 minutes on the plane during takeoff. It was far from his ideal, perfect routine. It was messy. It was imperfect. But it was an unbroken chain. This is what it means to practice without a gap. It's about detaching from the outcome and focusing solely on the process. It's about showing up no matter what. Because the moment you stop, even for a single day, you create a gap. And through that gap, your old self, the one you've been working so hard to leave behind, comes rushing back in. Think of it like a river. A river doesn't just stop flowing because the water level is low. It keeps moving, even if it's just a tiny trickle. That trickle is what keeps the riverbed alive. That trickle ensures that when the rains come again, the river can swell back to its full strength. Your consistency is that trickle. Protect it at all costs. Don't chase perfection. Chase continuity, because that is how true, lasting discipline is forged. Thanks for watching. If this idea resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more insights on building an unbreakable mindset. See you in the next one. Do you ever feel like life keeps throwing curveballs, catching you off guard and derailing your plans? What if I told you there's a way to never be surprised again? This isn't about predicting the future, it's about mastering the present. This is the pre-solution mindset, a powerful technique used by ancient monks to maintain their unwavering discipline, no matter what chaos erupted around them. Imagine their temple floods. Do they panic? No. They already have a plan. Meditate in the courtyard. What if a fire breaks out in the main hall? They simply move outside and continue their practice. There's no debate, no last-minute scrambling, just calm, decisive action. This is the secret weapon against life's unpredictability. Now, how can you apply this ancient wisdom to your modern life? Let's go back to Raphael, our case study in discipline. He took this exact concept and weaponized it against his own excuses. He sat down and created a list, a battle plan, of every single excuse that had ever stopped him from being consistent. For each one, he designed a non-negotiable counterattack. His rulebook was simple but unbreakable. If he was traveling, the rule was airport push-ups. No gym, no problem. The commitment stood. If he felt tired after a long day, the rule was a minimum of 2 minutes of his chosen activity. Even on his worst days, he showed up. If he was hungover from a night out, the rule was to read at least 1 page of a book. No excuses. Each potential scenario, every possible "I don't feel like it" moment, had a pre-written response. This is how you conquer inconsistency. It's not about finding more motivation when you feel weak. It's about having a system in place that makes motivation irrelevant. You defeat the excuses before they even have a chance to whisper in your ear. You've already won the battle before it begins. Think about your own life. What are the recurring excuses that sabotage your goals? Is it being too busy? Too tired? Not having the right equipment? Take a page out of Raphael's book. Write them down, every single one. Then, next to each excuse, write down your pre-solution, your if-then rule. If I'm too busy, then I will do a 5-minute workout. If I don't have time to cook a healthy meal, then I will have my pre-prepared healthy snack. By preparing for these moments of weakness, you're building a fortress of discipline. You're no longer relying on willpower, which we all know can be incredibly fickle. Instead, you're relying on a system, a predetermined course of action. This removes the decision-making process in the heat of the moment, which is where we so often fail. The decision is already made. All you have to do is execute. That's the true power of preparation. It turns potential points of failure into guaranteed moments of victory. So, let's fast forward. 90 days of this relentless, systematic discipline. What happened to Raphael? The transformation was profound, almost jarring to those around him. He wasn't the same person. His movements became deliberate, efficient, almost mechanical. His mind, once a storm of excuses and procrastination, was now a sea of tranquility. He was calm, focused, and unshakable. The change was so noticeable that it started to make people in his life uncomfortable. His girlfriend looked at him one day and said, "You've changed." It wasn't necessarily a compliment. It was an observation of a fundamental shift. His friends, who used to be his partners in mediocrity, now looked at him with a mix of awe and fear. "You're scary," they told him. And to that, Raphael just smiled. Perfect. This is a critical turning point. When your discipline starts to make other people uncomfortable, it's a sign that you are finally operating on a level they can't comprehend. You've broken free from the gravitational pull of average. Why does this happen? Why do people react this way? Because your discipline holds up a mirror to their own inaction. They'll try to label you to make sense of it. They'll call you obsessive. They'll call you extreme. They might even suggest you're no fun anymore. But what they are really saying deep down is, "You have proven me wrong." You've shown them that the limits they placed on themselves were just stories they told themselves. Your dedication exposes their excuses. Your results invalidate their reasons for staying the same. They are uncomfortable not with you, but with the new standard you represent. They are forced to confront the fact that they, too, could have made a different choice. And that is a very uncomfortable truth for most people to face. so they project that discomfort onto you. When you hear these whispers, don't let them deter you. Recognize them for what they are, the sound of you winning. This brings us to the ultimate truth about discipline. It's not really about the things you do. It's not about the workouts, the early mornings, or the cold showers. Those are just the tools. The real goal, the final outcome, is about who you become. You see, you stop being a person who is trying to be disciplined. You shed that identity. You transform into a person who simply is disciplined. It's no longer an effort. It's your nature. It's your default state of being. The struggle ceases. The internal debate goes silent. You just are. And when that fundamental shift happens in your identity, the world around you will notice. People will look at you, at your consistency, at your unwavering focus, and they will whisper to each other, "That's not normal." And when they say that, you should smile. Smile because it means you've finally made it. You've broken the mold. Because normal never achieved anything extraordinary. Normal never built empires, created masterpieces, or changed the course of history. Greatness is, by its very definition, not normal. It's the exception. The journey to this level of mastery is a process of subtraction, of letting go. You let go of the old self, the person who negotiated with their own potential, the person who said, "Tomorrow." That version of you has to die for the new one to be born. It's a rebirth forged in the fire of consistent action. The discipline that feels uncomfortable at first, the kind that might even scare the people around you, is the only kind of discipline that has the power to truly change you. It's the only kind that can chisel away the stone of your old habits and reveal the masterpiece underneath. This is the path. It's not easy, but it is simple. Prepare for your excuses. Embrace the discomfort of your own growth, and become the person you were always meant to be. If this message has ignited something within you, if you feel that fire to become more, then join this community. Subscribe for more insights on Stoic power, mental discipline, and the art of personal mastery. I want to know what you're committing to. Go to the comments below and make your public declaration. What is the one habit, the one rule you will implement starting today? Let's hold each other accountable. And always remember this final thought. The discipline that scares people, that's the only kind that will ever truly set you free. Thank you for watching.